Welcome, adventurers. My name is Cody, and this is Taking 20, a channel about all things role-playing games. In today's video, I'm going to share 5 different tips to be a better player at the game table. I hope you're ready. Let's get started. Okay, so tip number 1 is to be engaged. Really be engaged with what's going on inside the game. This includes being an active participant in the actual storyline. As a player, the more you're involved in being engaged with the story, the easier it is for your character to really take a part, a larger part of the story, and kind of drive it for the whole group and the whole game. And this takes a lot of pressures off of dungeon masters and game masters when they see that players and their characters are really involved with the storyline. It helps a lot of creative juices get flowing, and it's just easier for dungeon masters and game masters to kind of curtail their game to what your character wants the more you are engaged. And being engaged also includes taking really good notes. Write down NPC names and jot down side quests. This shows that you are actually engaged and paying attention to what's going on with the game. That way, if a dungeon master or game master wants to bring an NPC back to make them a reoccurring character for the overall campaign, he or she doesn't have to kind of stop and, explain to you guys exactly who this was and remind you of all the extra back plots that they have built into this character. By taking really great notes, it will help you remember everything that's going on inside the game, and it'll show dungeon masters and game masters that you are really engaged with the story and where the campaign is heading. Okay, so tip number 2 is to be a good teammate. Remember, you are a part of a larger group. So do your very best to have a group mentality. And this means never doing anything that is really detrimental to the overall group. And I'm sure we've all been in a game before where maybe the group is still finishing off a certain combat, and before the bodies even get cold, the rogue player is trying to loot the body and, even worse, hide the loot from the rest of the party. Okay, rogues, let's have a chat. If you feel like your character really needs its moment to shine and be a little sneaky and do some roguish things like stealing and looting, don't steal from the party or hide things from the party. Instead, I challenge you to steal for the rest of the party. Really have a group mentality, and I promise that being a good teammate and having a group mentality will never take away from roleplay. Okay, so tip number 3 is to be prepared. This means leveling up your character before you show up to the next game's session. Typically, games are played once a week or maybe even once every 2 weeks. This is plenty of time for you to level up your characters and pick out some spells. Also, part of being prepared is to really know your character and be prepared to use your character inside the game. If you have a spell or an ability that causes some type of condition like poisoned or grappled, then do your very best to stop and read the rules. This is a great courtesy to provide not only the rest of your group, but also your dungeon master or game master. Instead of relying on them to know every single rule in the book by hand, or worse, stopping the game to look it up, by knowing what your abilities do and what those conditions do that those abilities and spells can cause, you can be courteous and help the game continue to go and kind of take responsibility for being prepared to use your character. So be prepared and help keep combat and the rest of the game flowing smoothly. Okay, so tip number 4 is to be aware. And I know this might sound a little strange and kind of similar to being engaged, but I'm not really talking about being engaged with the story as much as I am being aware of the actual table and the rest of the players and people that you are playing Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or Star Wars or whatever game you're playing with. Look around and see if everybody is having a good time. See if there's anybody that is maybe kind of struggling a little bit to role play, or maybe if everybody's stories are really being explored. Being aware of what's going on outside the game can help you focus inside the game to make it a little bit more fun for everybody. Even though it might be considered the dungeon master or game master's kind of responsibility to make sure everybody has a fun time and everybody is being involved, it's also kind of your responsibility, because ultimately you are playing a game, and if everybody is not having fun, then maybe everybody may not want to come back. So taking a few moments to make sure that your character is being fair and kind of involving everybody with roleplay is a great way to ensure that everybody's having a good time and that everybody will want to come back, play again. So be cognizant of everyone at the table and do your best to kind of be aware. Okay, so tip number 5 is probably my favorite tip, and that is to just go for it. I mean, let's be honest for a minute. Role-playing games can kind of be a little strange, and they're kind of a little weird and a little different. And you know what? That is completely okay, because in my opinion, they're actually a tremendous amount of fun. So the best thing that you can do as a player is to just go for it. Remember that everybody there at the table is there to have a good time and play this kind of really weird game called Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or Star Wars. So even if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable about maybe doing a voice or role-playing out your guy and talking out all of the cool and tremendous things of your character's past and describing the different ways that you flourish back and forth between combat, and even if everybody else is not really doing that, that's okay. The best thing that you can do is relax. Remember that everybody's there to have a good time, to just go for it. So that's it, guys. 5 tips to be a better player at the game table. Again, they're be engaged. Really be engaged with what's going on inside the game. Be a good teammate, which means having a group mentality. Be prepared. Know your character, and please level them up before you show up to the next game. Be aware. Really be aware with everything that's going on at the table. And finally, go for it. Relax, have fun, and go for it. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. I'll be putting out new videos every week on DM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more, so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody. May your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.